Imagine a city so rich that its churches glittered with gold mosaics, its palaces overflowed with jewels, and its vaults held centuries of imperial tribute. Then imagine all of it: holy relics, royal regalia, priceless works of art.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest videos.
Plundered in a single shocking week. In the spring of 1204, crusading armies meant to reclaim the Holy Land instead stormed Constantinople, capital of the Byzantine Empire. The Fourth Crusade's capture of the world's wealthiest city became one of the greatest lootings in history. Much of the treasure was recorded, some was carried to Europe and still survives, but vast portions simply disappeared, sparking centuries of speculation about the lost treasures of Constantinople. To understand the magnitude of the loss, we need to recall what Constantinople represented. Founded by Emperor Constantine in 330 CE, the city stood at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, commanding the trade routes of the Mediterranean and the Silk Road. Over 9 centuries, the Byzantine emperors amassed fabulous riches: gold coin reserves from imperial taxes, jeweled crowns and ceremonial armor, priceless manuscripts, and Christian relics believed to hold miraculous powers. The Great Hagia Sophia alone was decorated with walls of shimmering mosaics and altars encrusted with gold and silver. Travelers from the West described Constantinople as a second Rome, but more opulent than anything in Europe. The Fourth Crusade began in 1202 with the goal of retaking Jerusalem from Muslim control. Instead, a tangle of debts and political intrigue diverted the Crusaders to Constantinople. Venetian leaders, who financed the expedition, encouraged the diversion to settle economic rivalries with Byzantium. Internal Byzantine politics added fuel. A claimant to the throne promised money and support if the Crusaders helped him seize power. When payments failed and tensions escalated, the Crusader army turned on the city it had come to protect. On April 13, 1204, the Crusaders breached Constantinople's formidable walls. For 3 days the city was subjected to unrestrained plunder. Churches were stripped of their treasures, palaces were ransacked, and priceless works of art were smashed or melted for their gold. Chroniclers describe drunken soldiers leading horses into the Hagia Sophia, looting sacred vessels and tearing down mosaics to pry out precious stones. Thousands of civilians were killed, and countless manuscripts and artworks were burned or scattered. The Byzantine Empire, once the guardian of Roman civilization, was left in ruins. The victors divided the spoils according to a prearranged formula: 1/4 to the Crusaders, 3/8 to the Venetians, and the rest to be shared among leaders. Contemporary accounts speak of staggering quantities of gold and silver plate, jeweled icons, relics, and coinage measured by the ton. Much of this wealth was transported to Western Europe, where it transformed the artistic and religious landscape. The horses of St. Mark, 4 life-size bronze statues that once adorned the Hippodrome, were carried to Venice and still stand atop St. Mark's Basilica today. Relics of saints, including what were claimed to be pieces of the true cross, the crown of thorns, and bones of apostles, were shipped to churches in Paris, Venice, and beyond. Yet despite these documented transfers, a large portion of Constantinople's treasure was never fully accounted for. Byzantine sources suggest that enormous reserves of gold and silver coinage simply vanished. Imperial regalia such as the crown jewels of the Komnenos dynasty, ceremonial swords, and gem-encrusted thrones were not recorded among the captured items. Many reliquaries and icons mentioned in pre-1204 inventories disappear from history after the sack. Given the chaos of the plunder, some treasures were likely melted down and dispersed as coin, while others may have been hidden by desperate Byzantines before the city fell. One enduring mystery concerns the imperial relic collection, objects believed to be among the most sacred in Christendom. Constantinople housed the Mandelion of Edessa, the Holy Lance, and other relics that drew pilgrims from across the empire. While some, like the Crown of Thorns, eventually appeared in Western cathedrals, others were never seen again. Historians debate whether these missing relics were destroyed, secretly sold, or spirited away to monasteries beyond the Crusaders' reach. Legends persist of hidden caches in remote monasteries of Mount Athos or buried beneath the ruins of the imperial palace. The Venetians, meticulous record keepers, documented many of the treasures they claimed, yet even their ledgers leave gaps. Some scholars suggest that Venetian captains may have kept private hoards or sold items quietly on Mediterranean black markets. The sudden influx of Byzantine gold and silver into European economies after 1204 supports the idea that much of the treasure was melted down rather than preserved. Coins bearing Byzantine designs have been found as far away as Scandinavia, evidence of the far-reaching dispersal of Constantinople's wealth. The loss went beyond material riches. Thousands of Greek manuscripts, works of classical philosophy, science, and literature, were destroyed or scattered. Some surviving texts entered Western Europe and helped spark the Renaissance, but countless others disappeared forever. Byzantine scholars fled to Nicaea, Epirus, and Trebizond, carrying fragments of their culture into exile. For the Greek-speaking world, the sack of Constantinople was not only a financial catastrophe but a cultural trauma, remembered as a betrayal by fellow Christians that hastened the empire's long decline. In the centuries that followed, rumors of hidden Byzantine treasure fueled countless quests. Ottoman sultans who captured Constantinople in 1453 reportedly searched the ruins of the Great Palace for secret vaults. European adventurers in the 19th century dreamed of discovering the lost regalia of the emperors beneath the Hippodrome or Hagia Sophia. Archaeological excavations in modern Istanbul occasionally uncover coins, jewelry, and ceremonial objects from the Byzantine era, but no single find has matched the legendary scale of the missing hoards. Some of the treasures that did survive continue to tell the story of their violent journey. The Palla d'Oro, a magnificent golden altarpiece in St. Mark's Basilica in Venice, incorporates enamels looted from Constantinople's churches. The treasury of St. Mark's still holds chalices, reliquaries, and jeweled crosses carried away by Venetian sailors. In Paris, Notre Dame and Sainte-Chapelle once displayed relics purchased from crusaders, including the crown of thorns, now preserved in the Louvre following the 2019 cathedral fire. These artifacts are silent witnesses to a moment when the Christian West turned its swords against the Christian East. Modern historians continue to piece together the fate of the lost wealth. Economic studies estimate that the loot from Constantinople may have rivaled the annual revenues of several European kingdoms combined. Yet the very scale of the plunder makes it likely that much of it was simply melted and spent. Gold coins were easy to transport and quick to disappear into circulation. Jeweled icons and reliquaries, stripped of their sacred context, could be broken apart for gems and precious metals. What could not be carried may have been hidden by Byzantines in underground cisterns or city walls, treasures that may still lie beneath the bustling streets of Istanbul.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest videos.
The fall of Constantinople in 1204 reshaped the medieval world. The Byzantine Empire never fully recovered, and the division between Eastern Orthodoxy and Western Catholicism deepened. Yet the legacy of its lost treasures lives on, in the dazzling relics of Venice and Paris, in the whispered legends of hidden hoards, and in the priceless manuscripts that seeded the intellectual flowering of Renaissance Europe. Each surviving artifact is a fragment of a glittering civilization abruptly torn apart. Today, visitors to Istanbul can walk among the remnants of that vanished wealth. The mosaics of Hagia Sophia, the sunken chambers of the Basilica Cistern, and the scattered stones of the Great Palace evoke a city once unmatched in splendor. Somewhere beneath the modern metropolis, coins and jewels from the imperial treasury may still lie buried, waiting for a chance discovery. But even if the greatest hoards never surface, the story of Constantinople's lost treasures remains one of history's most dramatic episodes, a reminder of how greed and ambition can topple empires and scatter the riches of a millennium. If this journey into the vanished riches of Byzantium captured your imagination, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more explorations of history's greatest mysteries. Which lost artifact would you most like to see recovered? The imperial crown, the sacred relics, or the countless manuscripts that once filled the libraries of the Queen of Cities?